Okay, welcome everyone. I'm just taking a little bit of time to just get this live stream started and everything. I am streaming outside today because it's a lovely summer's day here in Cape Town, South Africa, and I really don't want to spend another day inside, especially when it is so beautiful outside. Okay, so for today, I will be talking about the upcoming great conjunction that is happening tomorrow on the 21st of December. And then I'm also going to just be talking about all the major transits and everything that we will be experiencing throughout Capricorn season. Now, I think Capricorn season will be from the 21st of, well, tomorrow, the 21st of December, until I think around the 19th or 20th of January. I'm not exactly sure when the sun enters Aquarius next month, but I will do that on next month's video. Okay, so let's get started with the great conjunction and just what is actually happening with this great conjunction that will be happening tomorrow. Now, I'm sure most of you guys know the kale plant. Thank you so much, Dash. I have actually been growing this plant. Yeah, it's so nice to have some kale that you can just chop and eat whenever you want to eat it. It's nice and fresh. This was actually quite a small plant. Like my other kale plant is much, much bigger. I think it's about like 4 times the size of this one, but it's over there. Okay, so we had Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto move through Capricorn majority of this year. Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto have actually been in Capricorn for quite a while. And what has basically happened is throughout this year, we have experienced quite a bit of restriction, quite a bit of limitation, and quite a bit of control. So we have been told how we should live our lives. We have been told how we should plan our lives, how we should structure our lives, and basically how we should do everything within our lives. Because Capricorn is a sign that basically represents having control. It represents having this structure and enforcing the structure onto the masses. So we experienced this throughout this year where we could basically experience this control. We could experience this kind of not being allowed freedom, not being allowed to do what we want to do. We have to do what the system wants us to do. We have to do what the government wants us to do and all those things. Now, this isn't necessarily not a bad thing, but it basically just means that we were rather controlled. We were forced to adhere to a specific structure that might not have been the structure that we wanted, but it's the structure that is needed. So basically, yeah, that is what happened this year with everything moving through Capricorn. We just experienced this major sense of control over us. Now, with all these planets moving into Aquarius, we can expect to experience a sense of wanting freedom. Now, with Saturn in Aquarius, it's going to be very tricky for people to control anyone. It's going to be very tricky for people to control anything and to get people to adhere to a specific structure. So we can expect a lot of rebellion. We can expect a lot of people denying and refusing to adhere to the structure and to also adhere to the sense of control that is being enforced into us. I have already started to notice this happening because a lot of people are starting to obviously they're against, for example, what the government wants them to do. They're against, for example, what is being told to them they should do for things to improve. A lot of people are actually rebelling against this. And this is a very, very good example of Saturn in Aquarius. It's this energy of there is no way that structure, rules, limitation will be allowed. And when people try and enforce the structures, rules, and limitations that they did try and enforce while Saturn was in Capricorn, they will be met with resistance and they will also be met with rebellion. Now, Aquarius is a sign that is free. Aquarius is a sign that kind of wants to do what they want to do. Aquarius doesn't want to be restricted. Aquarius wants to explore all the ideas that they have. They want to explore all the things that they really want to do. As you guys know, Aquarius is a fixed sign, and Aquarius is very stuck in their beliefs, also stuck in their ways. Now, Aquarius is very open-minded, but they are still stuck in their ways and in their beliefs. So they will listen to things around them. They'll take in this information, but they do not change their opinion and their perception that easily. So what is happening now with Jupiter and Saturn both moving through Aquarius is people are very fixed in their opinions. People are very fixed in what they believe is right. They are open to the things around them. They are very open-minded to what is going on. However, they do not take that information in, and they do not allow that information to be processed inside them because they are so stuck with what they believe. They are so stuck in their opinion. Now, with Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius, a lot of people will feel that they deserve freedom. They will feel that they deserve the ability to do what they want to do what they wish to do, and they should not be controlled. So we can expect to see a lot of issues pertaining to what I just mentioned now come out tomorrow during December 21st. So what I mean by that is people are going to not want to allow themselves to be controlled and limited anymore by anything, because they are going to believe that what they believe, what they perceive, and what they know is the ultimate truth, and that is what should be followed. So it can be a bit of a tricky time for a lot of people. But then on the other hand, there's also a lot of good things coming as well. So I'll get to that now. I just want to read these comments. Okay. Rebellion against Saturnian control sounds good to me. Natural explorer. Well, yeah, definitely. Rebellion against control is a good thing because obviously nobody should be controlled. But then also on the other hand, there has to be a sense of control as well for things to operate efficiently and for things to operate well. Because also if there was not some kind of control, it would be a free-for-all and everything would kind of turn into a bit of a dumpster fire as well, because everyone would just do what they want to do and there'd be no structure. So there's obviously, it goes two ways. The one side is that, yes, people should not be controlled and people should be allowed to do what they want to do, but also people should only be allowed to do what they want to do if it will be for the greater of humanity and the greater of mankind, and not if it's going to be detrimental for humanity and for mankind, if that makes sense. Yes, Dash. No, we definitely are seeing that change now. It's very, very interesting. Infinitum Neo. Sorry, I'm really bad at reading sometimes. You don't like corporate and government control. Neither do I. I really don't. And we actually are going to see a lot of corporates and government losing control moving forward. We did see a lot of, corporates and government losing some of their control throughout this year because a lot of businesses closed, a lot of corporate companies closed, and that kind of thing. But we are definitely going to see the political system really, really losing its control next year, especially after this 2021 conjunction, because the people are just not going to listen to the politicians and to the government whatsoever. The reason for that is because, like I said, most people will feel that they believe what they know is right and what the systems and the governments are trying to tell them is not right. Very much needed. Let the freedom-loving Aquarian energy flow. I totally do agree with that, Natural Explorer. We do need a lot more freedom, a lot more Aquarian energy in this world. And you are going to notice that moving forward, especially after this conjunction, for a reason that I will get into just now, we are going to see a lot more Aquarian energy in this world. And this Aquarian energy and this freedom, like I said, it has its very good sides, but it also has its downsides, which I will also discuss later on. Okay, great. So basically, so let me talk about the actual Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So I explained to you guys what the Saturn and Jupiter energy all represents in Aquarius. Now, I've actually heard a lot of astrologers say that, oh, sorry, there's a helicopter going over here. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I actually heard a lot of astrologers say that they believe the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius tomorrow is the official start of the Aquarian age. Now, that is quite interesting, and I personally do feel there is a little bit of truth to this. The thing is, we can't exactly pinpoint exactly when the start of the Aquarian age is. It could have already happened. It could still be coming. It is something that is unpinpointable. It's not something we can say, this is the exact date it's going to happen. However, if I have a look at the world around us and I see how things have been changing, I can actually say that I do believe we are at that point now where we are fully going to be entering the Aquarian age. The reason for this is the following. The Aquarian age represents, obviously, freedom, personal freedom, and it also represents, to an extent, being somewhat disconnected and impersonal. Now, Aquarius is a sign, if you look at the zodiac wheel, you'll see that it actually squares Scorpio, which is a sign that is very focused on connection, love, human connection, friendships, relationships, that kind of thing. And because Aquarius squares Scorpio, Aquarius doesn't deal very well with these kind of things. Aquarius's main focus is freedom, personal freedom, doing what you want, getting what you want, and that kind of thing. And Aquarius's focus is not so much on human emotions, not so much on human connection, deep connection, or anything like that. So what is basically happening is that when we enter the Aquarian age, there is going to be a major focus on personal freedom. There's going to be a major focus on gaining information, educating yourself, learning all these things. We are going to be exposed to so many sources of information that we are able to educate ourselves. If people aren't educating themselves right now with this abundance of information that they have, I don't really know what they're doing with themselves, because it is very important. We are at a time where we have been given more information than we ever have before on this planet. So it's quite important that we take advantage of it. Now, what I was getting at is that with the Aquarian age comes this very big focus on information, intelligence, things like science. Aquarius has a very, very big focus on science. So we will see science will really develop beyond anything that you can possibly imagine over the next couple of years. And science also will become the answer for everything. So people will start not looking at things like religion anymore. They will start not looking at things like spirituality that much, because science will be able to disprove these things, or these things can't be proven because science exists. So what I'm getting at is, within this new Aquarian age that we are going to be entering, people are going to be less concerned with human emotion. They are going to be less concerned with connection and actually connecting with other people, understanding the emotions of other people. And their main concern is going to be on gaining information, learning, as well as being free and being sociable. However, this being sociable is not going to include an intention of connecting with other people on a deep, profound level. So along with this new Aquarian age that we are going to be entering, we are going to experience very big sense of disconnection between humans, because humans are going to be focusing on things like science, things like technology, things like their own personal freedom. And in a lot of cases, people can't have personal freedom if they're connected with people or they're in relationships. So people aren't going to want to pursue this anymore moving forward. So we can see a very, very big change coming up when it comes to how humans interact with each other and how humans actually deal with each other. Okay. You can hear the birds. That is so cool. Oh, and I can hear the dogs as well, probably. Hello, David. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. So yeah, basically that is what we can expect moving forward. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is a major step that basically puts us in that space and that reality of the Aquarian age. What I would also like to mention along with this before I move on is that while Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct each other in Aquarius, it is basically going to be impossible for anyone to really say what the truth is. So the truth and what the actual ultimate truth is going to be completely diluted to everyone in this world right now, because there is such a major overflow of information. There's so much information out there that finding the truth and finding something that you can actually connect with and that's actually real is actually almost impossible, which is why people are going to be looking at things like science more and less at things like spirituality and religion. But the thing is that we are likely going to be very, very against. Oh, wait, let me retrack everything. So the thing is that as humans, the political systems and the governments and everyone are going to be like, this is how things should be. This is how things need to change for everybody to be considered. This is how things need to go for everybody to be happy and for everybody to kind of just be in a space where they feel like they're happy within their existence in this world. But because Saturn is in the mix, it's going to be a little bit tricky. It's going to be a little bit impossible. So we're going to try and get that. We're going to try and let our truth known. We're going to try and basically say, this is what we want. This is what we need for us to feel fulfilled and for us to have our personal freedom. But because Saturn is in the mix here, it's going to be very, very tricky for us to actually achieve that, because our perception of what we want in terms of our personal freedom is very clouded, because we do not always see what is needed in this world and what is needed for others. So what I basically mean by this is a lot of people think that what they believe and what they know is right and is the truth, and this is what needs to happen. However, at this very point, there is so much confusion in this world that nobody really knows what needs to happen. And there basically has to be a completely new structure and just a completely new way of how things need to run moving forward. I've noticed a lot of people have been arguing with each other about all these like conspiracies and all these things that they think is the truth when it comes to what has been happening with the lockdowns and the virus and all these things. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what the actual fact and what the ultimate truth is regarding this whole thing, because there is so much confusing information out there. So the best thing that we can do if we want to really expand ourselves in this upcoming world with this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is to not be overly stuck in our truth, to not be overly stuck in our opinion and the way that we see things, and to assess whether the way that we see things and our truth is more focused on ourselves and our own development and our personal development, or whether it is actually focused on the development of the world and the development of humanity and society as a whole. If your truth is not in alignment with what is needed for the development and society as a whole, you are going to suffer a little bit while Jupiter and Saturn are moving through Aquarius, because in order for things to become what they need to be in the future, people need to realize that being stuck in their beliefs and in their truth is not going to be what's best for everybody in this world. And everybody kind of does need to be considered within that personal truth that you have. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Now, the biggest issue we are facing now is that everybody is so stuck in their truth and they're so stuck in what they believe is right that they do find it tricky to actually, how do I say, objectively and not subjectively see what is actually best for others and what is best for the world right now. So yeah, that is basically like the impact of the the Jupiter-Saturn. I keep saying Jupiter-Pluto because we had the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions as well. It's so confusing. But that is basically the impact of what we can expect coming up. It's got a very, very big impact on how we see, what the truth of life is, how we see the structures of life need to be, how the governments control us, how the governments try and impact our lives. That is going to change. We will also basically see a lot of people just not allowing the government to have any impact in their life whatsoever. Okay. Let me read these comments quickly. The truth is life-changing. That's very true. I'm pretty sure that the truth is also very mysterious right now, because there are so many, truths and perceptions out there right now. It's actually very interesting. Holistic science incorporates the whole, and this includes spirit. I can see Aquarian energy adopting holistic-based science and therefore compatible with the deep spirituality of Scorpio. There is a point to that, Natural Explorer, but one thing you can also look at with the Aquarian age and everything is, yes, there can be a sense of spirituality and religious freedom that comes along with the Aquarian age, because people will want the freedom to believe in what they want. So if they want to believe in a religion or, kind of spiritual way of living, they definitely will. But one thing that will come along with this, though, is the depersonalization of the human relationship. So, for example, people don't meet in real life anymore. They meet on Tinder, or they'll meet on like an app, or they'll meet on social media. It's actually rare that people meet in real life. People don't see as much importance to their relationships with a specific person anymore, because it's easy for them to move on and find another person, because there's so many people in this world. So what I meant by that is just that there's going to be a sense of a loss when it comes to the human connection, because people aren't going to really know what a human connection is anymore. Their idea and their understanding of a human connection is going to be meeting someone on an app, texting them, never meeting them, never spending time with them really, dealing with people through things like the internet and social media, whereas before the Aquarian age came in, this was not how people dealt with each other. People actually met each other in person. The only way to actually engage with another person was to actually be in person with them and to talk to them. So what I basically meant by that is with the Aquarian age comes a very big loss of connection between people, because the way that they will be connecting would be through technology, and there's no actual physical or emotional connection, really. So I'm not saying in every case that is how it is, but I have just noticed from what I have been observing, in the society around me, and how people have been going about things like Instagram, about things like online dating and all these things. And I can just see that there is a big sense of disconnection and depersonalization coming when it comes to people's connections and their relationships with each other. So that is something we will see in this Aquarian age. Okay, so that is it for the Jupiter. Okay, sorry, let me just read here. The loss of connection is bad news as far as I'm concerned. Hope this is not how it turns out. People have choice to relate directly if they want to. Well, you see, the thing is, we can obviously hope that that is not how things turn out, but that is how things are busy turning out. It's very sad, which is why it is important that we become aware, that we remain conscious, and we just remain aware of what is happening in this world, because there are a lot of people in this world that are aware. They're very conscious, and they can see these things happening. They can see the effects of how things are changing on people, and they're not with these changes. But then there's a lot of people who aren't aware, unfortunately. They aren't as conscious as what a lot of people are, and they basically follow this way of living that everybody else follows, and they do not realize that there's more to it, or that they actually have this ability to find something that they can connect with, or something like that. So what I just mean by that is that we will just basically see a major focus on people meeting online and having an ability to meet so many people online that they actually just don't feel the need to connect deeply with one person anymore, because there's just going to be so much options for them and so much availability, if that makes sense. Okay. It's actually very interesting, Natural Explorer. You'll see, well, I have been studying the astrology of what is upcoming in this world and what's going to be happening over the next few hundreds of years and that kind of thing. And what will likely happen is we will go through a major point of destruction, loss, pain, and just more negative things happening in this world before we are actually able to reach our awakening as a human race. So we are on our way to awakening, and we are on our way to becoming aware and conscious as a human race. However, before that is actually going to happen, there is going to be a few, how do I say, more negative, tricky things going on that we are going to have to face and that we are going to have to deal with. I just want to move this camera quickly because I think the sun is shining on it. Yeah, I'm just going to move it a little bit closer. There we go. Now I won't be as overexposed. No. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so now I'm going to Infinite Neo. I think we still want relationships. I like talking with people. People obviously want relationships and they will want to connect with people, but the issue will come with not knowing how, because people will be taught and they'll be led down a completely different path, a completely different route, where they do not really know how to connect with other people. So they'll want to, but the ability to might not necessarily be there. I'm not saying it's going to apply to everyone. This will just apply to, obviously, majority of the people out there. Okay, so that is it for the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that we are experiencing tomorrow. Like I said, this is basically a start of the start of the Aquarian age, and it ushers that. So I hope you guys enjoy this new age that we will be entering, and I hope you guys are prepared for the upcoming changes. Like I said, the best thing that you can do with the upcoming changes that is coming is to just bear in mind that there is not really one truth, that we all have our own truth that we believe in, and we need to allow other people to believe in their truths without trying to enforce our truths onto them, if that makes sense, because there will be a lot of that upcoming. And then on the other hand, we also just need to not let technology and things like media take our lives over, because we do fall risk to technology, media, a technology kind of life taking over our lives moving forward. So it is important that we protect ourselves from this, and we limit our exposure to the media, we limit our exposure to technology, that we still do things like spend time in nature. Like, for example, I'm sitting outside in my garden listening to the birds while doing this live stream. So these things are still important. It is important that we still stay connected to the earth, we stay connected to nature, we stay connected to that essence of being that we have inside ourselves. Because what can happen in the Aquarian age is we can almost become like these robotic kind of beings where we don't listen to our emotions and we basically just live within a technology overrun life all the time. And if we are going to allow that to happen, and we're going to lose our connection with what it means to be a human and an actual natural person, it is going to be quite tricky to be connected with our emotions and to understand things like our own emotions and other humans' emotions in this new age. Okay, so tomorrow, before Jupiter conjuncts Saturn, the sun is also going to be entering Capricorn a few hours before. So Capricorn season actually starts tomorrow as well. So what we can expect during Capricorn season is a lot of traditions. People will be coming together with their families, and they will be celebrating their achievements, they will be celebrating their success, and they'll be celebrating what it is they have accomplished throughout this year. So that is why every year during Capricorn season, we generally experience the festive season or Christmas. That is because Capricorn season does symbolize a sense of celebration with your loved ones, especially your family, in a traditional sense, for, oh, sorry, things flying around here, for what you have accomplished throughout this year. So we can expect to just see that. A lot of celebration, a lot of getting together with family, and just being happy for what we've done and being happy for what our loved ones have actually done. During Capricorn season, we also see people make their New Year's resolutions. Now, this goes hand in hand with what Capricorn represents, because Capricorn represents laying down the structures, laying down the foundations, and basically planning what it is you want to achieve. Capricorns are people who are incredibly goal-driven, incredibly motivated, and they keep their eye on the prize in a sense where they know exactly what it is they want to achieve, and they work towards this continuously. Now, Capricorn season is a time where we need to figure out what it is we want to achieve. We need to lay down those goals. We need to lay down those resolutions, and we need to work towards achieving them. So that is, oh, beautiful birds. Wow. Sorry. Get very distracted quickly. So that is why during Capricorn season, people make their New Year's resolutions and they decide what they want to do moving into the next year. Capricorn season is also a time where we need to decide what we are going to be giving our energy towards. So what Capricorn shows us is that where our energy goes is exactly where we will receive what we need to receive. So if we want something, let's say, for example, we want a sports car, but we're lazy and we're sleeping all day and we're not actually doing any work and we're not actually making any money, are we actually going to achieve that sports car? So what I mean by this is that we need to assess where our energy is going. Because if our energy is going to things that is not going to result in us achieving our goals or getting what it is that we actually want out of life, then we're basically just wasting our energy. And a lot of the times we do this. Most of our energy is wasted on things that we don't even really want, or things that we don't even really want to spend our energy on. So Capricorn season is just a time where you need to figure out, what are you going to be putting your energy into? Are you going to be giving your energy to people who drain you, people who do not support you, people who do not encourage you? Are you going to be giving your energy to a job that does not reward you efficiently and just basically sucks you dry? Whatever the case is, where is your energy going? And is your energy being spent on something that is going to bring you something worthwhile in the end? This is something that you need to consider during Capricorn season. And you need to cut out the elements in your life that does not allow you to, or sorry, let me rephrase that. You need to cut out the elements in your life on which you are wasting your energy on, through which you could actually be applying that energy onto something much more productive at the end of the day. So yeah, that is basically Capricorn season and what we can expect for Capricorn season, and what we basically, well, when the sun is in Capricorn, and basically what we need to just be focusing on more or less during that time. I will be experiencing the summer solstice as you are, not the winter solstice. An Aussie here. Oh, awesome. Yeah, we are also experiencing the summer solstice here, which is amazing. I'm actually so happy that we get to experience our festive season holiday in December at the peak of summer, because I know in like other countries they do it during winter and it's cold. So yeah, it's actually so nice to have a summer festive season holiday. It's amazing. Okay, so right after the sun enters Capricorn tomorrow, then Jupiter will conjunct Saturn a few hours later, which I did discuss with you guys just now. Then on the 29th of December, there is going to be a full moon in Cancer. Okay, so what this means is that during a full moon is basically a time of harvest. So a new moon is a time of like sowing the seeds. It's a time where you lay that intention and you say to yourself, this is what I want by the time of the full moon. When the full moon comes, that is when you harvest the seeds, that is when you harvest the produce of the seeds of your intention that you planted. So if the full moon is in Cancer, it basically means that you would have likely spent a lot of time nurturing your intimate relationships with your family members, most likely, or just people you're in intimate relationships with. The past few weeks, you could have noticed yourself doing a lot for other people, reaching out to other people a lot, and just engaging with other people in a much more caring, more open way than before. So what I mean by this is maybe previously when you engaged with people, you would not really have been as emotionally invested in them, or you would not really be as keen to engage with them as deeply, or to actually understand them, or to understand where they're coming from. Whereas during the full moon in Cancer, and for the period before then, you would have actually shifted your focus on understanding others and understanding where they're coming from. understanding why they have the emotions they have, why they feel the way they do, why they're going through what they're going through, and you make space and time within yourself to allow them to just be who they are based on what they're experiencing. So a full moon in Cancer is a very beautiful time because it is a time, every time I hear like a noise, I think it's like a wasp or something, or a bee. So I'm like, so sorry if I do like look to the side suddenly. But basically, a full moon in Cancer is a time where we focus more on the other people we care about, and we really care about them. We really, really open ourselves up to nurture them and to love them and to be there for them. Whereas during previous moon cycles, we might not be as willing to care as much and to actually listen and to actually give our time to another. We'll be more focused on ourselves. We'll be more focused on, you know, what we want and what's best for us. We're not too focused on others. However, during the full moon in Cancer, we focus more on others instead of ourselves. Now, we are going to have a new moon in Capricorn on January 13, which is basically when we will be allowed the time to focus on ourselves and to just focus on what it is we want. However, during the full moon in Cancer, most of the focus is on others, and you will notice that you will likely have a very pleasant experiences, or you'll just feel really, really good around your loved ones because you'll know that you were there for them, and you'll know that you've been supporting them and be loving them the way that you need to. Okay, so Patrick Bond, thank you for joining us. It is a very, very incredible time that we are in, Patrick. I've mentioned in one of my previous videos that there are more souls incarnating into Earth now than ever before in history. Like, as you guys know, there are more people alive in this world now than there ever has been before. And there are more babies being born every day. And it's just increasing than ever before. And the reason for this is because the soul is actually able to have the most unique, enlightening, and profound experience on this earth right now. Anytime before now and anytime after now will not be as profound as right now. The reason for this is because we're basically in the in-between phase. We're in between the phase where we used to live as natural beings. We lived a natural life. We had no technology. We had no access to things like that. And we were basically just, like I said, living as natural beings. Now, at this point we're at now, technology is evolving. And soon, in a couple of years, technology is going to be at such a point that it is going to completely overtake life as we know it. Now, the point we're at now is the in-between phase. We're in between this phase where we still have a connection with the natural life and what it is to be a natural human, and we're connected with nature in a sense, but we're also at a point where we're starting to become more and more connected to what technology can bring to us. And in the future, technology is going to overtake everything, and there is not really going to be that much of a concept of a natural life or a natural human anymore, because everything is going to be very futuristic and technology based. So the reason there are so many souls incarnating into Earth right now at this point, more so than any other point in history, is because the experience we're able to experience on Earth right now is more profound than any experience our souls would have been able to experience on Earth and possibly will be able to experience on Earth in the future. So if you're alive now, you're quite lucky because your soul's able to experience something very, very unique that humanity has never experienced ever before and will also never experience ever again. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay, so, thank you. I'm glad that you like the sound. Natural Explorer, your moon is in Cancer. Oh, wow, you are going to have a very nice full moon, because then the moon will likely conjunct your moon. So you're actually going to have a very emotionally charged day on the day of the full moon, which is going to be on the 29th. Like, you'll feel your emotions will be very, very strong, but for the better, like in a good way. Okay. My Capricorn planning for next year is on writing some books, also getting more involved with astrology. I would like to know what astrology software you use. Solar Fire is top. Yeah, I actually do use Solar Fire. Solar Fire is the best software in my opinion. I like the way that it's structured for professionals. It has like this little database section where you can put like all your clients' information. It's got a very, very nice way of generating reports, so you can get a very good idea of everything that's going on there. It's got a very nice way of generating the aspects, detailed aspects. I did my research quite a bit before I bought Solar Fire. I didn't buy other software. I tried the demos of them and stuff. And from my experience, Solar Fire is just the ultimate best. I really enjoy working with it, and also working with the transits, looking at the transits, and that kind of thing is also much, much easier on Solar Fire. I also think that it is a really good investment if you do want to get into being a professional astrologer. It just makes reading charts and, keeping record of your charts and all those kinds of things just so much more easier. So yeah, Solar Fire is definitely the one to go for. Okay, so let's see. Next up, on January 6th, Mars is going to enter Taurus. Now, Mars is the planet that represents our inherent desires. It's the planet that represents our force of action and where our focus is on. So what I mean by that is what we want to achieve and what we want to accomplish, and the actions we take to accomplish those things are represented by Mars. So basically, when Mars is in Taurus, the actions that we take and the way we take actions is very slowed down. It's very calculating and it's very careful. So Mars is the planet of Aries, and as you guys know, Aries is incredibly direct. Aries loves to just do things immediately without thinking and just acting and just kind of grabbing the bull by the horns and going for it. However, when Mars is in Taurus, the energy is completely different. It's not this direct, get it done quickly, urgently kind of energy. It's more this kind of, let's assess things before, let's plan things, let's structure things, let's make sure everything is in its place, let's make sure everything gets done the way it needs to be done before we actually take an action. Because we will not want to lose what we have. We will not want to lose our investments. We don't want all the hard work, all the effort, perseverance, and dedication we have been putting into what we have been putting in to go to waste. If we rush into things, if we do things without thinking and we kind of just jump in it and we don't assess the possible repercussions, the possible outcomes of what could possibly happen, then we do risk losing a lot. We risk losing what we have invested in. We risk losing the possibility of our goals and our dreams coming true. So a lot of the times it is just a better option to assess things before acting, because very often that assessment that you do before you act allows you to become aware of things you would not previously have been aware of had you just acted. And then if you had just acted, you would have had to deal with all these things going wrong or all these negative things happening. Whereas if you had just previously assessed it, you would have seen that those things would have happened, and you would have been able to put the precautions and the plans in place for it not to happen. So that is what Mars in Taurus is all about. It's about assessing things beforehand and assessing the possible outcomes and assessing what can end up happening. Because if you do not assess what can end up happening, you do run the risk of losing what you have worked on, and you do run the risk of losing what is yours because you are too hasty, because you are too pushy. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay. I was tossing up between Solar Fire or Prometheus. Prometheus is very good. Planetarium feature that I like. Overall, Solar Fire sounds best. Yeah, dude, definitely Solar Fire. I did check out Prometheus as well. To be honest, I did not like the user friendliness. Is that the word? User friendliness of Prometheus. I just found it wasn't a very accessible software to understand. It was a little bit complex, whereas Solar Fire is a little bit more user-friendly. It's a little bit more direct to understand. Solar Fire has a very old interface that it is created on. I think if you look at the interface of it, it almost looks like a Windows 2003 program. However, the interface is quite simple, so it's very direct. You know where everything is, it tells you where everything is, so it's a lot more accessible and a lot more user-friendly, if that makes sense. So that's just kind of why I preferred Solar Fire over Prometheus. Okay, guys, I need to take a quick little bathroom break. I'm going to be back in 2 minutes. Okay, yay, now I am good to go again. Okay, so next up, after Mars enters Taurus, on January 8th, Mercury enters Aquarius. Cool. So Mercury is the planet that is responsible for our mental processes. It is responsible for our thoughts and the way we think and just what goes on in here, more or less. It's actually interesting because, as you guys know or might not know, the moon is responsible for our emotions and what we feel. And obviously, as the moon moves around Earth and it has its different phases that it goes through, that governs the different emotional feelings and emotional phases that we go through as humans. So as humans, we are never in the same emotional state for more than 2 to 3 days. Our emotions change as the month goes on, and I'm sure most of you guys would notice this. Maybe some days in the month you're a little bit more moody, some days in the month you're a little bit more happy, some days in the month you're a bit more productive, some days in the month you're completely lazy. And a lot of this is governed by the movements of the moon. Because the moon is constantly changing, so are our emotions constantly changing. Now, the thing is, Mercury governs where our thoughts are at. Now, our minds generally focus on one thing for about 3 weeks to a month or whatever, and then usually things happen and then our minds will focus on something else. Now, these focuses, this focus of our mind is indicated by the movement of Mercury. So whatever we're thinking of is Mercury. So that is why you will notice that sometimes you obsess about one thing for like 3 weeks to a month. That's all you're thinking about. And then the next month comes and you're obsessing about something completely different and you're not thinking about the thing you were thinking about the previous month. That is because when Mercury changes signs, it will have a different effect on you depending on where Mercury is placed. Just give me 1 second, guys. I just want to get something here. Okay, so when Mercury enters Aquarius, our mental focus is more on other people. However, it's not that much on deep connections with other people. Whereas if Mercury was in Scorpio, for example, our mental focus is more on meeting new people, being exposed to new people, and just being exposed to different kinds of people than what we're currently used to. So for example, you will likely notice from the 8th of Jan, when Mercury enters Aquarius, mentally, you'll just be curious about other people. Maybe you'll see someone in the mall, maybe you'll watch a person in a movie, or whatever the case may be, and you'll just want to know what this person's about. Maybe the uniqueness that they radiate, maybe the sense of difference that they have because they are so different from what you know is so profound that you will be interested in understanding what this person's about. So when Mercury is in Aquarius, we focus a lot on others, but more so others that we find fascinating. And it's about getting to know and understanding why we find them fascinating, spending time with them, talking with them, engaging with them, understanding what makes them tick, what makes them think. But the focus is not necessarily on building a deep connection with this person. It's more on just understanding them, getting to know them, and just being exposed to who they are and the energy that they actually radiate. So while Mercury is in Aquarius, we'll also be very focused on what is best for others. It's actually a very nice time in the world while Mercury is in Aquarius because it's more of a, how do I say, a selfless time. It's a time where people don't focus that much on themselves and they focus more on the group and kind of society and humanity as a whole. So you say here, Mercury and Scorpio in the 2nd house. Natural Explorer, when Mercury enters Aquarius, it's going to square your Mercury. So it might be a bit of a tricky time for you because what could happen is you will be focused on, wanting to establish a connection or a friendship that means something. However, other people might not be too focused on this. That's the way that I would interpret that. But yeah, when Mercury enters Aquarius, and if your Mercury is in Scorpio, it will at some point square your Mercury. So that does mean that there will just be a little bit of mental conflict for you during that time. However, it's not necessarily always going to be bad, because obviously, like I said, it just depends where Mercury is moving. Sometimes when Mercury is in a favorable aspect to your Mercury, you can have really good thoughts and you can feel really good mentally. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, like I said, our focus is less on ourselves. We do think less about ourselves, what we need, what's best for ourselves, and we do focus more on other people. It's not necessarily a sense of focusing on what other people need to be happy, but more a sense of just focusing on other people for the sake of recognizing them and for the sake of knowing that they exist and knowing that they're there. It's an interest towards who they are and towards the energy that they radiate and their own personal expression. That is what Mercury in Aquarius will give us. Okay, so next up there is, also on the 8th of January, Venus will enter Capricorn. So Mercury enters Aquarius, and then 3 hours, 40 minutes after Mercury enters Aquarius, then Venus is going to enter Capricorn. Awesome. Okay. So Venus is the planet that represents our love style. Venus is the planet that represents how we approach relationships and how we approach intimate relationships with other people and how we actually connect with other people. That is why I want the software, to be able to monitor the transits and the progressions much better. Yeah, it will definitely help for that. I pretty much put my solar fire on every morning and I look at the transits for the day. You'll just see when you do download it and when you do eventually get it, it is amazing to work off of. You can also get a demo. I don't know if you have tried the demo yet. Maybe give the demo a download and give it a try. It is a little bit limited when it comes to the features, but the demo does give you a little bit of an idea as to what it's about and how it actually works. So maybe give the demo a try before you actually buy it. Okay, so Venus is the planet of love. Venus is the planet of other people. Now, when Venus enters Capricorn, our love style and our love nature becomes a little bit more self-focused. It becomes a little bit more focused on what we feel we need and what is best for us. So when we are in relationships, it is important that we listen to what the other person needs. It is important that we consider their wants and needs, not just our own. But the thing is, when Venus is in Capricorn, it can be very tricky because we are just assessing how this relationship is benefiting us, how our relationships are maybe causing negative things in our life. And we will want to shape and change our relationships in such a way that they are beneficial to us, not necessarily beneficial to the person involved or the other people involved. So yummy. It's a banana and berry smoothie. Okay. So when Venus is in Capricorn, most of our focus is on, like I said, how is a relationship benefiting us? How is a relationship getting us to where we want to get? How is a relationship allowing us to achieve the things we want to achieve the goals that we want to achieve? And if our relationships aren't in alignment in such a way that they're allowing us to reach our own personal goals, we will get upset in these relationships and we will try and change the structures of these relationships. So Venus in Capricorn is basically a time where we look at the current intention and the current structure of our relationship. And if our relationship does not benefit us personally and it does not allow us to progress personally, we will then change the structure of this relationship for it to help us progress personally and for us to evolve into who we need to be personally. I hope that makes sense to you guys. No, I haven't downloaded the demo. Well, give the demo a try. It's really, really helpful. It does have most of the features on it, so it will give you more or less an idea of what the software is about. Looks like luxury indulgence in the garden over there. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, my garden is quite nice, but I spend more time and effort making my garden nice than I spend making my house nice. Like if you see my house, it's also kind of why I'm not streaming inside today, because my house is a bit of a mess. But if you see my house, it's a little bit more messy. It's nice, but it's not as nice as my garden. That's because I actually spend more time in my garden making it nice than I do in the house. Okay, so next up, so that was Venus in Capricorn. Next up, there's going to be a new moon in Capricorn on January 13. Okay, so what a new moon represents, like I said earlier, is sowing the seeds. It's sowing the intention. It is laying out what it is you want and putting that idea down, putting that resolution down so that you can work toward it and so that you can achieve it. Now, when the new moon is in Capricorn, we basically lay down our intentions and we sow the seeds for what it is that we want to accomplish. A new moon in Capricorn is a very self-focused time. I don't like to say the word self-centered because a lot of people have this misconception between what it means to be self-focused and self-centered. Being self-focused does not necessarily mean that you're self-centered. It just means that you are thinking a lot about and you are considering yourself, your progression, and where you're heading in life. It does not necessarily mean that you're self-centered. So when the new moon is in Capricorn, this is what you are focusing on. You're focusing on where you're headed, especially professionally. You will assess whether the current career you're in, well, this will be during the new moon on Capricorn on January the 13th. So you will assess whether the current career that you're in and just the current path you're on professionally is what you want for yourself. You'll assess whether the steps you take in your day-to-day life and in your day-to-day routine that you follow is going toward that which you wish to accomplish eventually. If it's not, then you are likely just going to put the steps in place so that you can accomplish this and that you can achieve this. So yeah, basically the new moon in Capricorn is majorly a focus on what you need to do for you to get what you want to get. And you're not going to be thinking much about anything else other than that. Once you do think about what you need to do, you'll most likely come to some kind of conclusion within yourself as to what you have to do, and you will put steps into motion to do that. Like I said, the new moon represents a time of emotional intention setting. So it's a time where you set that intention that you want to accomplish this. So yeah, during the new moon in Capricorn, just reflect on what it is you eventually do want to achieve, what it is that's going to bring you inner emotional happiness and inner emotional fulfillment if you achieve it. We all have specific goals, we all have specific dreams inside ourselves, and these things, if we accomplish these things, or if these things happen to us, we will feel emotional happiness. We will feel great. We will feel all these pleasant emotions. So the new moon in Capricorn basically means that you need to assess what it is that is going to bring you your eventual emotional happiness, especially in relation to your career, your profession, and your work life, and to actually put steps in place for you to actually achieve this and to get this eventually. Okay. So then next up, on January 14th, Uranus is going to go direct in Taurus. Now, Uranus has been retrograde for quite a few months now. When Uranus enters retrograde, it enters retrograde for quite a while. So, oh, sorry guys, it's getting so windy here now. My hair's blowing everywhere. So, we experienced the Uranus retrograde period for quite a few months now, and it's going to end on January 14, which is great. So what this means is, depending on where Uranus is in your natal chart, go have a look at which house Uranus is currently moving through. So what would have happened is you might have wanted to make specific changes in this area of your life. You might have wanted things to progress a certain way or to happen a certain way in a certain area where Uranus is moving through in your natal chart right now. However, when Uranus entered retrograde, you could not make these changes. You could not put the steps in place that you needed to get what you eventually want. When Uranus enters direct motion and when the retrograde period is over, you are able to move forward making these changes without any issues. So you would have noticed, let me quickly work it out. Pisces. Oh, sorry, lost my train of thought there. So you would have noticed that whatever area Uranus was in, you just could not change that area of your life. For example, maybe Uranus was moving through your 7th house and you really wanted to change your relationship status. So maybe you wanted to change whether you're single, maybe you wanted to change your current relationship, maybe you weren't happy in it, but you couldn't do anything to change it. You felt stuck. You felt like there's nothing you could do whatsoever to change where you're at, and you're kind of just stuck in the situation. When Uranus goes direct, this will change. You will feel like you're able to change things. You will feel like you're able to do something about it now. Whereas previously, while Uranus was in retrograde, you would have just felt completely stuck regarding this specific area of your life. Globally, when Uranus goes direct, we can expect to see improvements when it comes to the financial system, because Taurus is a sign that does represent money, it does represent finances, it represents material reality and all of those kind of things. And when Uranus is in Taurus, we experience a lot of changes when it comes to our material reality in the physical world. We experience a lot of changes when it comes to how we go about getting our money, getting the things that we need. Now, especially when Uranus is in retrograde in Taurus, there are a lot of changes that happen to how we get money and the financial system in the world. And we can also expect to experience some negative things in our financial system. Like, for example, recently the dollar dropped severely. I'm not exactly sure how much right now, but I've been watching the news and I saw that the dollar is very low right now. It's lower than it's been in quite a while. That is basically something that can be ushered by a Uranus retrograde, because it is changing our financial system. It's changing our understanding of money and how we work with money. But when Uranus goes direct again, we can expect the financial situation to maybe just start improving. There won't be as many bad things happening when it comes to the finances in this world. However, when Uranus goes retrograde again, we can expect to see quite a few issues or changes coming up again when it comes to the global finances. Uranus in the first house in Virgo, nearly direct at the same time of my birth. Oh, wow. So your Uranus in the first house in Virgo. Is your Uranus direct or is it retrograde? So you say it's nearly direct, or was it still in the retrograde motion? Because that's quite interesting. Having a well, if it was a retrograde Uranus in the first house, that's actually a very intense aspect. Okay. So next up, after Uranus direct, I have my last aspect for Capricorn season, and that is going to be Jupiter square Uranus. Now, Jupiter is going to be in Aquarius, and Uranus is going to be in Taurus. Now, this Jupiter square Uranus aspect is quite intense. It's not going to be the most pleasant aspect to experience, but yeah, I guess it is needed in a sense as well. So basically, what this represents is Jupiter, obviously the planet of expansion, the planet of growth, and the planet that helps us expand ourselves and grow ourselves as a human race. Jupiter is what takes us from being here to being here. Jupiter is the planet that governs the process we go through when we are here and when we end up here. That is Jupiter for us. Now, Uranus is obviously the planet of drastic changes. Uranus is the planet of things like technology and all those kind of things. So basically, what's going to happen with Jupiter square Uranus is we are going to want to expand ourselves as a human race. We are going to want to expand ourselves socially. We are going to want what is best for the world, want what is best for others, want what is best for everyone. We're going to have this vision in mind that, yes, for everybody to be happy, everybody needs to be considered, everybody needs to have their personal freedom, their space to be themselves. We're going to realize the value of individuality, and we're going to realize the value of, you know, different kinds of people in this world and why we need different peoples and that kind of thing. However, we aren't going to really be able to achieve this beautiful, lovely, idealistic vision that we have in our mind when it comes to a beautiful, free world and a world of everybody being happy and everybody being considered. Because for the world to be beautiful and for everybody to be happy and to be considered, the financial state of this world has to change. And unfortunately, that is not happening. So what I mean by this is the only way that we are going to achieve this oneness and the sense of unity that is represented by Jupiter in Aquarius is if we change the way we see money and we change the way we approach money. But this doesn't just come from us personally. This has to happen on a global level. So because it is a square, because Jupiter and Uranus are going to square each other, it means it's going to be difficult. It means that it's going to be almost unachievable, and a lot of challenges are going to be brought up. So yeah, what I'm basically saying with this is that, like I said, a lot of people are going to have this idea in their head of a equal world, a world where everyone is happy and considered, but too many of us are still stuck in our more self-focused way of being, where we do not want to share that which we have. We do not want to allow changes to happen to that which we have, that which we own, that which belongs to us, because we want to stay stable, we want to feel secure, we want to remain comfortable with that which we have. If we lose that which we have, we are going to be upset. We're going to feel unsettled. We're going to be unhappy. But the only way for us to get this, to reach this idyllic, the only way for us to reach this sense of existence that we want to reach, which is a world where everyone is considered and everyone is happy, and we're not all being controlled by a government, we're not all being controlled by a system, or whatever the case may be, is for us to let go of the sense of comfort that we hold on to. It's for us to let go of the sense of attachment to the material world and money that we have. But unfortunately, a lot of us aren't ready to do this. Unfortunately, most of us still want to have the comfortable life we want. We still want to have our investments, our savings, our money. We want to have our homes. We want to have our luxurious items. And the thing is, we don't want to let go of these things for the sake of a better world. We don't want to let go of these things for the sake of considering what's best for others and possibly sharing what we have with others. So Uranus in Taurus represents a change that needs to happen when it comes to the way we see money, a change that needs to happen when it comes to the way we handle money, and when it comes to the way we deal with our material reality. The only way for the Jupiter in Aquarius, the only way for what is represented by Jupiter in Aquarius to really happen, expansion, in terms of expansion for everybody in this world and for growth and happiness for everyone in this world, is for us to let go of our attachment to money, our attachment to the material world and reality that we have. But because Jupiter and Uranus are going to square each other, it basically just indicates that we aren't ready for this yet. Most of us aren't ready to take that step. Most of us aren't ready to say, okay, I'm willing to let go of the money I have in my bank account, my savings, my investments, and to give it to other people or to possibly give it to organizations so that the world can improve. Majority of us will not take that step. Majority of us will refuse to do that because we do want to hold on to that which is ours. So that is basically what Jupiter in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus represents. It represents a time where we want expansion, and we want expansion to take place and to happen, but there is still going to be a lot of confusion, conflict, and misunderstandings, and this specific expansion that we do want to happen will not take place because we are still too attached to that which we have. In order for us to really allow this expansion to take place, that we desire, is for the way we view material reality, which is represented by Taurus, to change. And the thing is, this might change unexpectedly because Uranus represents unexpected changes. It represents changes that come, shake you off your feet, and you would not even have, I don't even know why I'm holding this. You would not even have realized this change is going to come. That is what it's all about. You need to allow that change. You need to allow that change when it comes to money, your material reality, and the way you see the way you see money and just your material existence. That has to change entirely. Whether it is a conscious change, whether it is a forced change, whether it is a unexpected change through external circumstances in your life, ushering this change into your life, forcing you to let go of what you have and to see life differently, it doesn't matter. That change has to happen for the progression that is represented by Jupiter and Aquarius to actually take place eventually. But because we aren't ready for this yet, we are still going to experience a few, unsettling experiences during Jupiter square Uranus. If we're going to hold on to everything that we have and nothing is ever going to happen to take it away from us and to allow that to be shared with others and to be shared with the world, progress and change will never happen in this world. So at the end of the day, a lot of us might end up losing a lot of the things that we do have during this Jupiter square Uranus transit. But at the end of the day, it's going to be what is best for everybody. Don't just look at how it is impacting you. Don't just look at how it is disadvantaging you. Look at how you having too much in access is disadvantaging other people, because that is more of a reality. Having an access and not sharing with other people is disadvantaging others, whereas not having an access is not really disadvantaging anyone else. You might feel like you are disadvantaged, however, you're not. You're perfectly able to live not living in access and having so much access to so much money and so much stuff around you. The more you're able to share that which you have with the world, the more good things will end up happening in this world. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dash. I'm glad that you think what I said is true. Thank you for a good astrological summary for the next month or so. Yeah, Natural Explorer. I actually do an astrological summary for every single month, every month. So just look for my seasonal videos. You'll see last month I did a Sagittarius season video. This month I'm doing the Capricorn season. Next month it's going to be Aquarius season. So each month I do a video where I cover all the major transits that we will be experiencing. So just keep an eye out for that video each month and you'll see it. Oh, thank you. I also hope that you enjoy the summer solstice as well. I'll really enjoy the rest of my day. Okay, awesome. So yeah, guys, that is it for today. That is what you guys can expect from the Great Conjunction in December 21, 2021. Well, that is quite confusing. As well as what you guys can expect during Capricorn season moving forward into the new year. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.